In Austin, Texas, something maybe related. The FBI is investigating if a mass shooting suspect was motivated by the strikes in Iran. 19-year-old Ryder Harrington and 21-year-old Savitha Shawn both killed in the shooting outside a popular bar there. 14 other people were hurt, including 3 people who are in critical condition.
The suspect, identified as 53-year-old Diego Diang, was fatally shot by officers. He was wearing a Property of Allah sweatshirt and a shirt that had the Iranian flag on it. Officials are still working to determine a motive in the shooting, including whether it was an act of terrorism. Texas lawmakers are already linking that shooting to a possible sleeper cell attack. So joining us now in studio to discuss sleeper cells is retired Lieutenant Colonel and counterterrorism expert Atlas Altman. Atlas, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
We know that not all sleeper cells are the same. What is it about this attack against Iran, and how concerned should we be?
Yeah, this attack specifically, and the timing of it is crazy, has sparked a lot of confusion because it's not what you would expect out of Iran specifically. Iran's usually training sleeper cells to hit specific targets like assassinations. And this is coming right out of the CIA's open source reporting, and it came out today. So what's interesting about this is all the correlations between what's happening in Iran, and he had an Iranian flag shirt underneath that sweatshirt that you reported, and what's actually going to happen. That's what's sparking fear right now amongst my community.
Yeah, and it seems like the hardest thing to detect for people like you would be the lone wolf, right? The person who decides to act on his own, maybe inspired by what he's seeing in Iran.
Absolutely. And what I did at the War College was I studied specifically how that might happen. And recruiting efforts are on an uptick. We're seeing that through the NCTC, the National Counterterrorism Center, and we're seeing that through the FBI's recent reporting on potential cyber attacks, which could be included in this whole, who knows?
Right. You mentioned my community. Yeah. For service members, obviously, when something like this happens, an attack, I mean, how concerned are they for just being a target of retaliation?
Yeah, I've heard reports that multiple military bases have stopped wearing uniforms off base. You're going to see social media start to get cleaned up to where if there's an affiliation with the military here in the homeland, that now becomes a security concern. As a military member in the community that I got to be in for multiple decades, we were always really careful on how we presented ourselves as military members. Because when you deploy, the family's alone. Your loved ones are alone. And then what happens potentially?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about non-military, just a viewer out there walking around with their family. Because of what's happening right now in Iran, should we be more concerned than we were 5 days ago?
Well, absolutely. You should always be concerned. You should always take your phone and put it in your pocket when you're in public, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And
what do you mean by that?
There's crime everywhere.
Okay.
But the terrorist aspect right now, it's at a heightened. There's no better time for a terrorist to attack.
Why?
And all these terrorists, they're always trying to compete with each other, from Al Qaeda to Al Shabaab to all of the Hezbollahs. They're trying to see who can do it bigger. So if you're aware and you have your phone in your pocket, you can see something. But also, if you see something, you're supposed to say something. That's a real thing that you should be doing. And if you see something, you should call the FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI if you don't know the number. But that's a real concern. Everyone should be aware, and they should have their heightened awareness, especially right now. And I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just being real. There is something that's happening, and we're watching it live.
What about the fact that we're a border state? Does that have any, extra concerns?
It does. Narco-terrorism is a real thing, too. A couple weeks ago, I got the opportunity to talk to leadership of Border Patrol. They said everyone that they capture from the border, they're dealing with illegal immigrants, illegal crossings. And who does that? The cartel does that. The cartel does everything crime. So if the cartel is looking at an opportunity to maybe flood the United States and push their other illegal products, Arizona would be a prime target for that. And we've seen that before, where borders have been crossed and we can't catch them all, even though we try.
Thank you so much for all your decades of service, and thank you for coming in today.
Great insight.
It's nice talking with you.
Thank you so much.